What's up everybody, Caden TXD here, back at it again with another banger for you guys. And before we get into this video, I want to let you guys know that I won't be streaming for the next couple of weeks. I have injured my left shoulder and it's affecting me pretty badly when I lift or sit down for long periods of time. I've already seen a doctor, they've already told me what I should do. Just take plenty of like ibuprofen and medication to help relieve that pain, wear some heating pads, blase blase. So expect a lot more YouTube content from me instead of the streams. I do want to apologize again. I hope that does make it up. Yeah, and that's about it. But let's get into the real topic of today. Today we're gonna be talking about the DLC 14 balance patch notes. And I gotta say, man, this is a very interesting patch. I'll be covering the rest of DLC 14 in later videos, but for now, let's get into what moves have changed. Alright, so I'll be showing both an online and offline version of each move, so you won't have to ask whether something works online or not. Starting off with our first move on the list, we have Sonic Kick. Sonic Kick is now usable during a burst dash, and honestly, I don't really think it needed this kind of buff, seeing as it was already good enough. But, you know, whatever. It now has the same property as Focus Flash, which is cool, I guess. I will say though that it does seem like the burst dash version doesn't have the range as you would doing it normally. I can't really put my finger on it, but it just doesn't feel like it goes as far. Next up on the list is Ki Blast Thrust. All they really did for this move was increase the damage. Frankly, I don't see any real reason to use this move still. If they made this move have the ability to combo into other moves, it could be viable. But just adding raw damage was not the play, at least in my book. Let me know in the comments down below if you found some other use for this move. The next move on the list is Atomic Blast. They decreased the damage you would do on a non-charged attack. It now does an abysmal amount of damage, so if you don't know the right timing, this move is pretty bad. They also gave it a shadow nerf. I thought I was tripping, but it does seem that they took away the damage from its startup. This is a completely unnecessary change in my opinion. Nerfing a move that was already pretty balanced is a pretty bad play. Now more people are going to stray away from using this, which sucks because now everybody's going to be more reliant on, you know, moves that don't suck. The next move on the list is Dodon Ray. You can now use supers to cancel Dodon Ray's animation. Sounds convenient, right? Wrong. It's very tedious on what moves you can use right after. You either have to be right on your opponent or have a fast enough super to confirm it. If you thought that was it, well, I'm sorry. You can no longer pick up Dodon Ray after a knockback. This is a crazy nerf to Dodon Ray. I didn't think Dodon Ray was an OD move, nor did I think it needed this heavy of a nerf. I honestly thought it was fine where it was. It doesn't have as much stun time as Death Beam, so I didn't really see it as a threat. I also don't see many people using Dodon Ray either. All this change did was give people to run Death Beam more. The next move on the list is Death Slicer. You can now step cancel or burst dash after the second input. I think this is a cool buff overall, but I still think it's not enough to get people to run this super. There's not too many scenarios you will want to use this in. Maybe if you can figure out a cool combo for it, sure. But personally, I still wouldn't throw this out in neutral. You could probably start mixing people with this, but I don't recommend doing it on good players because I don't think they will fall for it after getting hit by it the first time. However, you're definitely going to catch little Timmy with this every time though, so go nuts. The next move on the list is Godbreaker. All they really did with this move is make it easier to hit your opponent. Now I still don't know what they meant by this. Personally, if you wanted to bust this move, make it fully unvanishable. This move is great against countering dash attacks and people who like to mash square. But because you can just vanish out of it if you get caught, makes this move's value drop harshly. It still does that big boy damage, so a lot of more casual players are going to get bullied by this move still. Next up is Power Blitz, which I think has really seen a glow up thanks to this new buff. It basically got the same treatment as Death Slicer. You can now step dash and burst dash right after using it. Now normally you would think, who cares? It's just Power Blitz. That move is ass. Let me convince you how this move may actually be pretty godlike right now. If you didn't know, after the first hit of Power Blitz, it makes your opponent upright, meaning that if they were off balance before, they would be in this upright state after getting hit. This opens up so many possibilities for combos, stamina breaks, and even mix. Not to mention that this move also does pretty good damage. This essentially, and I really hate to say this, is another variation of pre-nerf Ki Blast Cannon.
Pre-nerf Ki Blast Cannon. Pre-nerf Key Blast Cannon.
Oh my god. Thinking about this more and more, this super might actually shake the meta. Having the ability to dash right after using it also means that if you snap against this move, you can't punish me. And you might get hit because it comes back in a circle. Holy fuck, this move might be ridiculous. Next up on our list is Go Go Gum. I don't have an offline version of this move because I don't have it. But all they did for this move was add a small amount of damage to it, which I don't think this move needed, but whatever. It makes the Spirit Bomb combo a little bit stronger now, so I guess that's cool. The next move on our list is Whirlwind Blade. They pretty much changed the knockback on the move so you can combo it easily with other supers and ults. This is actually a W buff because this move always had wonky setups and only worked with certain moves. Now it's a lot more consistent and you can pull off some nutty combos. The next move on the list is I-Beam. For all you nerds who spam I-Beam to get iframes and confirm off of that, guess what? You can't do that shit no more. Yes sir, they have gotten rid of the iframes on the startup of I-Beam, while also giving it a shadow nerf. At the end of the move's animation, there is now a small delay. Unless you are really close, you can't dash cancel or burst dash right after to pick it up with a basic attack or a super. I can't wait for you ranked nerds to spam this online and absolutely fail, because I'm absolutely going to beat the ever-living shit. The next move we have on the list is Android Rush. They buffed its damage in the range of the first hit, which isn't bad, but they could have done more for this super. It's still kind of wonky online. You'll get the first hit for sure now, but it's a matter of if that second and third hit will connect. If it does, you're doing some solid damage. I recommend to anyone using this move to use the up variation a lot more than anything else. It gives you a hard knockdown to the ground if you are close, so I would make use of that. The other variations can be solid in their own right. The down variation is good for stamina break combos. Sending them in the air to really hang there gives you all sorts of options. Lastly, not hitting anything just does more damage than the other two, which isn't bad either. Overall, not a bad buff, but a little underwhelming. Next on the list is Feint Crash. Due to some mistranslations, I didn't really understand what the change was. Basically, it says after the punch you can cancel it, but you could already do that. Or at least that's what I thought. And then it hit me. What if they meant the kick and not the punch? Huh. Now I don't know if you could do this before, but this was not needed at all. So you mean to tell me that I can get popped in my mouth back to back now?
Man, this some more bullshit.
Next move on the list is Sonic Rush. They made this move easier to hit on a knockback. This is a huge buff to the move in theory. This move does pretty good damage and is a hard knockdown. To make things even better, it is completely unvanishable. I've always thought this move was cool, but the inconsistency really pushes me away. I'm gonna have to make a video on this move to really see if it's a solid move to use now. But from what I tested, it seems pretty good and consistent and decent connection. So as long as you both have 4 bars or 3 bars that are solid, it's pretty good. This little dash it does to confirm the hit is very nice to have. Next up is Total Detonation Ball. All they did was buff the damage. That's it. I don't know why they did, but they did for whatever reason. Up next is Holy Inscription. All they did for this move is make it easier to hit, which I don't think was needed at all. I mean, the move lunges forward to slice you. Why did it need that extra leap? Next up on the list is Reverse Launcher. They decreased the damage in exchange for being able to combo it into other supers, which is nice. However, the knockback isn't enough for a lot of supers. They need to be fast acting supers. Supers like Burst Kamehameha and Masenko are good examples. Giving Reverse Launcher more accessibility is definitely the right way to go with moves that aren't getting used. Give them more functions so that people will give them a chance. We'll start to see more moves being used instead of the same 10 supers we'll see in ranked all the time. On to our next move, Candy Beam. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what they did to Candy Beam, so I guess we're just gonna move on. If you do find out something about Candy Beam or what they changed about it, be sure to comment down below, because I have no clue. Next up is Surging Spirit. All they did for this move is increase the key regen after using it. Of all the charged supers they could have buffed, they buffed UI for God knows why. Up next is Blades of Judgement. This move got its damage nerf in exchange for a longer stun time on the ground and a different knockback. Honestly, this rework was dumb and irrelevant. I don't know what they were trying to do by giving us this, cause no one asked for it. If they were gonna implement this, they should have made it so that there are two different inputs for this move. Because no matter what knockback, knockdown, or knockup you do, it's gonna be the variation that hits all needles. You're not gonna get the spread shot version unless you just throw it out or delay it. And delaying it sucks because in the time you do, the opponent is ready to get back up. Man, they really hoed this move. I guess it's cool for stamina breaks now because you can do some really cool stuff with it, but in terms of viability, it's a lot more iffy now. The damage is really why this move was ever used. Next up we have Pretty Cannon. They buffed the damage on this move for whatever reason. I think they also gave it a shadow buff as well. The charge version now has a bigger hitbox after a knockback, which is pretty cool. All this does is give me a reason to run Ribrianne's ult more. The next move is Bloody Counter. Bloody Counter got buffed hard. They made it so it's fully invincible and you can step dash and burst dash when the animation is done. This is a crazy buff. When they said fully invincible, they meant it. Do be careful though, because at the end of the move you are able to get hit again. You can't hold down the move to get more iframes. That would be insane. Is this move going to be used more? Probably. It's still a 3-bar evasive, so it won't be anything meta, but it will get used a little bit more now that it actually has some use. You can compare it to like Super Explosive Wave, but 3-bar version, or I think it's Android Barrier, Cell's evasive. It's pretty much similar in that regard. Next up is Fake Blast. Fake Blast has probably the most controversial rework of this patch. They nerfed the startup of the move and removed some of its iframes, which sounds amazing, right? Yay, Fake Blast is dead. Woo, celebration, yay. I hate to say it to you, but that's not entirely true. After a couple of tests, I found that Fake Blast still exists under certain scenarios. You see, if you are behind someone attacking and they use Fake Blast, they still gain all the iframes and can dash out of it. They only nerf Fake Blast when you get hit by it. So if you whiff Fake Blast, all the negative frames you are supposed to get don't exist because you missed. This was a big oversight on the development team's part. Is this a nerf still? Kinda, but good players are gonna start adapting to this and keep using Fake Blast accordingly. Will this get dropped for other evasives? Yeah, I think so. The more casual players will all start flocking to Dragon Burn or Instant Rise. Last but not least, Sword of Hope. This ult got a huge buff. They decreased the amount of ki this move uses substantially. Like you can use it, spam like 3 inputs, and only use 1 bar of ki. They also made it so you can cancel the square input and the triangle input respectively. That's the combo string and the little lunge shit. This is actually a lot bigger than people make it out to be. When they mean canceled, they don't just mean inputs for Sword of Hope. They mean everything. If you input the ult again, it's gonna stop and give you enough stun time to use supers and or ultimates. You can also pick this up with dash attacks too, which is pretty damn nuts. This can make for some really cool stamina break combos. Just you guys wait till I bring combo comp back around. This event is gonna be fire. This isn't the only buff either. The circle input of Sword of Hope is now fully invincible, so you have to perfect block that input now before going for a grab. Otherwise, you're gonna get turned into a Blade. Lastly, they made the big slash or the X input unblockable, which is kinda insane. A little, maybe. We'll have to see in due time. Overall, this is a very snazzy buff to this ult. I think this is the ultimate limit burst killer, to be honest. The only thing this really counters is the super armor limit burst. Every other limit burst is getting shat on. Is this move good now? It's more style points than anything, but I do think it's a lot more viable now, to a certain degree. That's gonna be it for me, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're on our way to 2K. I'm gonna be covering a lot more DLC 14 over the next couple of weeks, so look forward to a lot more videos. Also, run on my watch time. Peace out.